Hi everyone, I wanted to come on and just do a quick video to show you how to do the color changes required for the hats that have the pictures and designs in them. Most patterns are written that each pin represents a stitch, and it'll tell you to work pins, say 1 through 5 in one color, work pins 6 through 11 in another color, and it indicates your color changes in that way or method. So if you pay attention to the numbers on your Addy, it will show you the last pin is number 46, the first pin is number 1, the first black pin. So that's where you would start your row. Each row is on that first black pin. Excuse me, for this example, I'm just going to do 5 pins in one color, 5 pins in my color change, and then 5 pins in another color change. So as at the beginning of my row, I'll crank out to 5 stitches. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1 through 5 are done in the main color. Now if I looked at my pattern, it says, okay, now change from 6 to 10 in another color. So I cut my white yarn, drop it down in the middle, grab my color that it is required for the color change, load it into my yarn feeder, secure it. Now I wrap it under the lip on that pin, which is number 6 in this case. And then I grab the 2 strands of yarn. I'm going to crank a little bit slowly until that pin grabs the yarn. And now I can tie them. I do a double knot, not too tight, but just secure enough that it's not going to go anywhere, because you go back at the end and you're going to retie them and secure them better. So now I do my 5 stitches with my color change, because my color change right here is already complete. So I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I need to change my yarn again. I cut it after the 5th stitch. I grab my new yarn, load it in to the yarn feeder, secure it, wrap it under that lip, grab the 2 strands, crank it until it grasps it. Now tie that yarn, and then I do my 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so now I'm gonna go in and do a little more frequent color changes, just to show you, like, if it's every pin that you're changing colors, because that's a little more difficult, but it's done the same way. So in this example, I finished whatever the pattern instructed me to do. Now I'm going to change to do the next pin in that next single pin in one color. I cut my yarn, take my new yarn, put it in the yarn feeder under the lip on the pin, crank it down till it secures it, and tie it. And now I've done my 1 pin, so now I need to change back to another color. So immediately after this is tied, I then cut the yarn again, put it down into the middle, got a knot here, put in my new color, put it underneath that 1 lip, grab that strand for the other yarn, crank it down till it secures it, and tie it. So now I have that 1 pin, that color change, it's tied on both sides, but it's secure, it's not going anywhere, and then you would just continue on. If the pattern called for another color change immediately, there's my 1 pin. I then cut this pin, grab my new yarn, turn the crank again until it secures it, and then tie it again. So now I have, say, 5 stitches here, my 1 color change, my 2nd color change, and then I could go on from there. But these are 3 pins, each with a different color on them. So you just end up with more yarn and more ties, but it's done the same way as if you were to do, the entire row, or 5 pins or 1 pin. Then you would just continue through your pattern like that. At the end of the pattern, I would just cast off the project. There's no waste yarn needed unless you're doing an ear warmer or something. Then you would turn the pattern or turn the hat inside out so all of the strands of yarn are exposed. I would go through and double check and retie. I shouldn't say retie. I would double check each strand of yarn, make sure they are tied securely, but I would pull it slowly because if you do a lot of color changes, sometimes this builds up and it's hard to get it tight under these red pins here. So at the end, you should go in and pull it slowly, check to see that they're secure. Sometimes you will have a little give in it. I would pull it slowly because if you pull it too quickly, it could distort the image on the front. And then put a third knot into it so that secures it from going anywhere. Then I go through and I cut all of the yarn to about 1 to 2 inches. And then you're all set. You finish the hat like you normally would. I will be making more videos. Just gotta find the time, but I hope this kind of answers some of the questions and shows you how to do the basic color changes, and then you just incorporate this into whatever pattern you're working on. It's really not as hard as it looks, and once you practice on the color changes, the better you'll get.